Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
1, 1, 2. Check me out right here, yo.
Welcome to
the sun don't shine forever.
Here on Late Night Sports Radio. If you'd like to call in, the call number is 585-633-7487. I'm joined here in hour number 1 by Brian Keating of KOCO in Oklahoma City. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. What's going on? How are you guys?
I'm good. My gambling on the NCAA tournament, however, is not good.
No, you and everybody else. We've gotten beaten up pretty good, man. It's been nuts.
I thought by, filling out a simple $5 bracket and then betting here and there on games, I'd have a much better time. No, I've had a much, much worse time watching the NCAA tournament this year.
No, I mean, hey, we got to throw away our bracket after like the second day. When your NCAA champion loses in the first round, you're in for a tough couple of weeks.
My father works at the local newspaper here in Omaha, and there's a guy at the newspaper that works in the building. He doesn't work for the newspaper, but he works at the building. Every year in the last, I think, 5, the team he picks to win the national championship has lost in either the first or second round.
Unbelievable.
And I didn't think of it this year, and I picked Michigan State to win the national title, and he had picked them to win the national title, and I didn't even think to ask my dad, like, hey, who did he pick? Who did Darius pick? And I didn't get the answer, and it was too late. And I lost.
No, you got to double check that from now on, because I picked Michigan State too. So you're gonna have to let me in on who he picked, so I'll know that is not the way to go. Because I picked Michigan State, and that obviously did not go well.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we get into the Oklahoma City Thunder, March Madness, or the NCAA tournament, is in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Has it been a good or a bad thing for you personally, having it in Oklahoma City?
No, it's been great. It's been awesome because, the Thunder are obviously out of town. So, we're not covering them day to day when they're on the road on the East Coast. So, especially to have Oklahoma playing in Oklahoma City, that's been pretty special. And we also had Texas and Texas A&M play here. So, there I am courtside when kid from northern Iowa banks it off the backboard to win the game. That's one of the coolest sports moments I've seen. So it's been a really cool thing. I wish the NCAA tournament would come to Oklahoma City more often, because it's been a lot of fun to be around. And it's obviously a totally different atmosphere than covering pros. It's a totally different kind of a fan and experience. So it's been cool.
That game, I mean, you're just going to think I'm a complete degenerate gambler, but and I mean that might not be too far off from the truth in the last 4 days. But I put money on the over for the second half of that game, which was, I believe, 74. And so I needed overtime to get the over. So when that shot went in, my basement was like, yeah, all right. So we're all rooting for the over, and we're rooting for overtime to get to that over. And then he hits that shot, which, usually you're like, when there's a half-court shot to win a game, or there's a big shot in NCAA in March Madness, everybody gets pretty excited about it. I wanted nothing to do with Northern Iowa at that point, or anybody.
That's a bad beat. No, that's a bad way to lose. Man, no. I feel bad for you, but I don't have the same sentiment, man. It was awesome being in the building, and something we didn't expect. And I was really, my wife is a big Texas fan. So, I'm kind of pulling for Texas for her, and didn't happen, It got taken away. So, no, it was cool for me, not you, obviously.
No, not for me that night. But I went to the Summit League tournament and covered the first two rounds for that. And in the second round, fortunately, I left Media Row for the second round to go hang out with a buddy. But during the first round, it's so difficult to not start cheering for a team. Like when you're hearing like South Dakota State fans getting all riled up about stuff, then you start kind of rooting against them, but you can't really cheer in Media Row.
No.
You're way more professional than I am. But how tough is it to not get into the games as a fan of the sport?
You do. I mean, you get into the game as a fan, sure. I mean, even covering Thunder fans, we're here in Oklahoma City. We want to see them win because it's more fun for everybody when they win. You know, everybody's happier at the bar. They're happier at home. My buddies are happy. So we want to see them win. So you don't like cheer. You don't go stand up and applaud. But everyone's into the game. And when something spectacular happens, I mean, you look up and down, and we're all buddies who work together, even though we work at different outlets. I mean, you're looking at each other and, I mean, going crazy. I mean, you live it a little bit different than a fan. You know, we're not boozing it up in the stands, but,
yeah.
I mean, we're definitely into the game, and you become a fan. You're a fan a lot. I'll say that. You just have to learn to keep your mouth shut to some degree.
Who's been the most impressive fan base in Oklahoma City so far?
The most impressive. I mean, it's a lot more OU fans, obviously, than anybody else because, you know, it's home games for them. Texas A&M, you know, they're an old Big 12 team, and so I kind of get annoyed with all the yell leaders and the men, the dudes doing the yell stuff. Like, I could do without that stuff. So I will never say Texas A&M. That's an answer I can't give. The coolest thing about any of the stuff going on around here has been the VCU band. Ooh. They've been the biggest hit out of anything that's going on in Oklahoma City. They've been a lot of fun, and they've been stuff, you know, like you just turn on Twitter, like that's all people are tweeting about the whole time.
I don't want to brag, but the Indiana-Purdue Fort Wayne band played Uptown Funk for me.
Okay.
At the Summit League tournament. You got to try to get on, and I had the band leader for them on my show, but you got to get one of the band leaders on your side and get them to open up their catalog, and you get to pick out a song. That is a great feeling in the
that's pretty cool. How did you work that out?
Well, during their first game, the band played Power Rangers theme song. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And so I Googled Fort Wayne's band leader, emailed him, and was able to get an interview with him on my show. So I interviewed him, and then I was just like, hey, could I request a song? And he's like, well, you can request one. It's just a matter of whether we have it in our catalog or not. So then I hit pause, and then I was like, okay, let me. What do you guys have? And then I requested something I liked, what I saw in their catalog. So that was a fun experience. He was really, really cool about it. So
no, that's cool. I got to work that out with a band. Like at a OU football game, I got to figure out a way for them to give me the tip of the cap and play a song that I request. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you think? Oh, Kansas. Have you ever had to deal with their fans at all with their, you know, rock chalk and all that garbage?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been to a bunch of Big 12 basketball tournaments where there's tons of Kansas fans, and they travel extraordinarily well. There's a lot of Kansas fans around here, so I mean, even if it's just small groups where they're traveling, like at OU or OSU basketball games, they don't really travel to football for good reason. But basketball, I mean, we get the rock chalk because, you know, normally they come in there and win.
They travel well. They came to Omaha a couple of years ago for the NCAA tournament, and who was it? Oh, it was UNLV was in the tournament with them, and they were playing UNLV, and their fans were getting mad because the UNLV fans were going Rebels, and they're like, "Oh, can you guys just shut up?" And I don't understand how they can freak out when they're just as annoying, if not more annoying than any other fan base.
It's a little hypocritical, huh? But they're Kansas. They're used to getting everything they want and everything to themselves. Spoiled folks that all they do is win. And so I kind of like it when anybody can stick it to the Jayhawks anytime.
Do you think, before we get to NBA, do you think there's any chance Kansas and Oklahoma move to the Big Ten?
I can't see it. I mean, I could see Kansas at some point if the Big 12 dissolved. I could see Kansas fit with the Big Ten. I mean, it just everything that points to anything you hear about conference realignment around this part of the country, Oklahoma's much more associated with the SEC than they are the Big Ten. That's not to say something like that couldn't happen. If the conference did fall apart at some point, it just seems like OU's fit in the SEC would be much better, much easier transition, especially just, it's one of the biggest football programs in the country. It just makes sense that that's where it would be, and I think that's where it'd want to be.
Okay. On to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are now, it looks like they're pretty much going to hold on to that 3 seed. Last week it looked like the Clippers would, eventually, were biting at their heels. Now it doesn't look that way. Oklahoma City, who do you think an ideal first-round matchup is for them?
Ideal.
It looks like Portland or Houston.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. I think, it sounds more difficult if you're playing the Blazers because, that building up there is just tough to win, and Lillard and McCollum can get going at you so fast. A couple of weeks ago, I might have said the Blazers would have been who I wanted to avoid. The Rockets, it's funny, the Rockets have so many guys who can play, but they just don't put it together. I mean, they're just one of those teams that's destined to fail. But in any series, James Harden could make it really tough on anybody.
Yeah.
And the way that the Rockets and Thunder kind of have a history and the rivalry and the Patrick Beverly, Russell Westbrook part of the equation, I just think you'd prefer to avoid the Houston Rockets than anyone else because they just seem like they could beat you more ways, and seems like a series you have to put more energy than you want to, and tempers could get hot. And with the Blazers, you probably don't get that. And the one they played the Blazers last week and just annihilated them. The Blazers aren't very good inside, and that's where the Thunder really beat them up. And I don't think the Blazers could win more than – I don't think they can win more than 2 games for sure, and I'm not sure they can win 2.
Where do you stand on Billy Donovan's rotations with Cantor at the end of the game?
Man, I want to see him more. And I'll give Billy some credit here over the last week. We've started to see more minutes for Enes Kanter. I've been complaining to anyone who will listen that the guy, he's only playing 20 minutes. He's one of their best players. He can really put the ball in the basket, and he can really rebound. And over the last week, he's really inched up from more than, closer to 25 minutes a game. He was only getting 20. And that's kind of been the interesting thing to watch the last 8 or 10 days is that Serge Ibaka's playing less. He's more in the 25-minute range where he's been, 30, 35. And we're seeing a little more Enes Kanter, and we're seeing a little less Serge Ibaka. And I'd like to see Enes Kanter a lot more. He had to close the game last night in Indiana. It was a close game. And he made all the plays down the stretch. He had 6 points in the last 3 or 4 minutes. And along with Kevin and Russell, he was the guy that Indiana could not deal with. And so maybe we're starting to see him play a little bit more. The one thing about the Thunder is that they're so married to their analytics. And I just have to imagine, they'd never say, but there has to be a number that they thought 20 minutes was the right number for Enes Kanter to go with some of his defensive deficiencies that through statistics, that was the number. And maybe they're kind of getting away from that, and I think it's working out.
Well, if they had gone to their analytics when they had Kendrick Perkins, they would have been able to tell that he should not have been on the floor at any point.
Yeah, I think the analytics actually would say that he was pretty good on defense, but my eyesight said that he couldn't play a lick. Man, it was tough to watch Perk at times. He was the player that everyone in Oklahoma City loved to hate because you kind of liked him when he did his Shaq in the Fool moments, and he played hard, and he's a great soundbite. And but you'd throw the ball to him at times, and it was a circus, man. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the numbers would say on Kendrick Perkins. I know they haven't been nearly as good defensively since he left, but I'm not sure that just has to do with Kendrick Perkins.
He's one of those, Boston athletes that, great role, good role player on their championship team. And, almost, if he hadn't torn his ACL, they probably win a second title with that team. But
Yep, you're right.
A guy that just got, I don't blame Celtics fans for doing this because you fall in love with role players on teams that win championships, but his value just got way overstated because he was in Boston. And no offense to Boston people, but he just got over.
I think you're right to some degree. I think you're right to some degree. And then Perk's one of those guys that he got old really fast.
Yeah.
He never quite recovered from the ACL, although, for his first 2 years in Oklahoma City, he was a better athlete than he was his last two. And I'll give Perk credit for this, that I think when he came in, he was with a bunch of 22 and 23-year-old, maybe 21, 22-year-old kids, Kevin Russell, James Harden, Serge Ibaka. And he has an attitude, which I mean in a good way. I mean, he toughened those guys up. And I'm not sure they would have been in the NBA Finals without Kendrick Perkins doing that to them. So I'll give Perk a lot of credit for that. He toughened those guys up in the right way, and they needed that at that point in their careers.
Well, looking
Frank
right now, what's the feel right now, Kevin Durant wise? Is there any feel from the media right now on what he's going to do in the offseason? Are you guys not?
No. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I know, and I totally understand why that's a story nationwide. It's Kevin Durant, and he's going to be a free agent. It's just not really a story. I know that sounds crazy. It's just not really a story around here because I think most people around here assume, because of the salary cap, that Kevin's going to sign a 1-year deal with another year option or 2-year deal with the second year being a player option to stay in Oklahoma City because he can make a lot more money the year after on his free agent deal. And I think it'll be much more of a story after this year. It just doesn't make sense for Kevin to go anywhere else at this point. Now, in a year, he might, everybody can pay him like $35 million. But if he signed a long-term deal this year, it'd be like 23, 25, where if he waits a year, it's 35. So it's just not really a story around here. But, it is everywhere he goes in the country, they go, well, hey, Kevin, so do you like the city of New York? Or, hey, Kevin, do you like the city of Philadelphia? Or, hey, Kevin, do you like Boston? And I understand why that is. Everybody's trying to get clicks from everybody, but it's just not really a story around here.
How distracted are you right now by this Northern Iowa-Texas A&M game?
I walked into our studio, so I'm not around it. Is Northern Iowa hanging on?
It's going to overtime.
It's going to overtime. Well,
Texas A&M went on a 14-3 run just like in the last minute.
Holy moly, yeah. When we started talking, Northern Iowa was up by like 10.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm more distracted now that you told me.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to put the scope on this. Texas A&M was down 11 with 38 seconds left, and tied the game.
Holy, 11 with 38 seconds left?
Yeah.
Correct.
Man. That's not...
I'm a little distracted by that, but I've been a little distracted by that as well. Well, last question before I let you get out of here.
Sure.
Who's going to win the national championship now that everybody interesting is out of the tournament?
Man, gosh. I thought about it long and hard. I think Kansas might. I think Bill Self's about as good as any coach in the country, and he's certainly as good as anybody left coaching. I'm not terribly in love with Villanova, and I think Oregon's pretty good, but they play on the West Coast, so I've seen like 3 games, so I can't say. I'm going to go with the Kansas Jayhawks because the Big 12 was supposed to be the best league in the country. They won the regular season championship and the tournament championship. I know the first round, the Big 12 was a little disappointing, but they have 3 into the Sweet 16 and probably end up with 2 in the Elite 8, maybe 1 in the Final 4. So I'm going to go with the Kansas Jayhawks, but they prove me wrong basically every year because I pick them a lot, because I see them a lot, and half the time they lose to Bucknell in the first round.
Yeah. I think I want Oklahoma to win because I want to see Buddy Hield, a senior.
He's awesome.
Yeah, awesome guy. Very fun to watch. I'd like to see him get a national title for Oklahoma. But I kind of have a feeling Kansas is going to do it.
OU's really good. I mean, you watch today, Dadgum, Buddy Hield just rescues them from the jaws of VCU by doing unbelievable things in the second half. I mean, he's awesome. He's as good a shooter with guys in his face as there is in college basketball, and he's going to be a load for everyone. And if you beat OU, he's going to have a bad night. You're going to have to score a bunch of points because they're tough.
All right. Well, on that note, Brian, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the TVs, all that good stuff?
Sure. It's KOCO TV in Oklahoma City. On Twitter, we obviously get after it for Thunder games and little college basketball, college football. KOCO Keating and KOCO.com, man. We do a bunch of Thunder opinion things online, breaking them down, a few times a week. So it's good stuff.
What's the ratio of dumb questions to good questions that you get?
From you?
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, you do get a fair share of them from me, but from people that aren't me.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
It's about 50-50. I mean, most people, they just want to know what the news of the day is with the Thunder. Why isn't so-and-so playing more? Or more of a reaction. Actually, I probably get dumber stuff because the people that are more likely to be responding to anything or asking me questions usually have a poor take. Usually they have a terrible take or they're just ripping me for something that I said. So I probably get more hate mail. Yeah, it's one of those deals. Very few people will tweet back and say, that was a great opinion. But you'll certainly hear from the people that say, you're an idiot.
I've never said that, but I would definitely take you saying 50-50 for dumb questions to smart questions from me. Because I mean, it would I was going to give it about 70-30 as far as dumb questions from me to smart questions from me.
No, no. You have a much better ratio than that. I think the one time you hit me up about, it wasn't dumb. It was just, I got a couple off the wall ones. Like, what would I ask these political candidates as we were going? And I was like, holy moly, man, I don't know. I haven't thought about this. It wasn't dumb. It wasn't what I was prepared for.
Yeah. Yeah. The stuff when the ADHD kicks in and I just start asking really questionable questions. Yeah. Yeah,
no, that's okay. I don't mind, man. I take it as I come.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you coming on, and hope to have you on again soon, man.
I appreciate it, man.
All righty. And we'll be right back here with Sean Stewart here on the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. You never know when others lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. It's in the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. It's in the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Days will keep on coming and the nights will keep on going till they're tired. Falling fast asleep and as they dream of ghosts of beats filled with desire. The chance of life is all around, a chance to take is always found. Oh, writing on the lullabies, I'm alone and living life. Oh, in the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Take another second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. Never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. The final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now, now I know you're not a neighbor. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, la, 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 oh.
the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I'm joined here in part 2 of our Sean Stewart of the Sean Stewart Show. Sean, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, my friend.
Northern Iowa, before we get into the Pac-12 struggles, Northern Iowa, Texas A&M is going into a second overtime.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for letting me know that.
Wisconsin and Xavier's up by 1. And Oregon and St. Joe's are in a little bit of a battle. But, okay, so Pac-12, Oregon's all that's left. What have you made of the struggle so far with the Pac-12?
Thank you for asking me a question, because you and I are both Big Ten guys. I just want to say that, because you know how people, they always talk trash about the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, I do for the most part in football, but in basketball,
right?
This year it kind of deserves some trash talking. I didn't think the Big Ten was up to snuff this year.
Right. I gotta say to you guys, for the people who are Big Ten schools, I gotta ask you something. You guys really sucked. I mean, Friday you was like 1 for 5, and by the way, if you on Friday, if you remember, USC was on the verge of beating Providence. I actually had Providence winning that game, and then Utah did lose to Gonzaga by like 23. So when I look at this conference, and by the way, if you notice, the Pac-12 and the Mountain West have not had the conference like like the Big Ten ACC Challenge or like the ACC Big 12 Challenge. I don't think do Pac-12 and Mountain West face each other on the challenge, if I'm not mistaken.
There's not a challenge, but they pretty much play each other a lot. Like, I mean, there's a lot of cross-conference matchups there. And then Gonzaga will play whoever will play them out of those two conferences. But,
okay,
yeah, for the most part, I mean, the Pac-12 is not playing there's not a lot of – the Pac-12 isn't traveling to do any games in, like, the preseason NIT or anything like that. They're going to, like maybe Oregon will go to the Maui Invitational or some crappy tournament like that. But for the most part, the Pac-12, yeah, they don't really Arizona might be the only team that goes out and challenges itself.
I would agree with that.
West of the Missouri.
Here's what I want to say. When I looked at Oregon's schedule, I'm sitting there looking like, who do you guys play in your regular season? Like, really? Like, it's not even funny. So it's like, I don't know if it's me or is it that the athletic programs, like, even scheduling schools, but, like, if you guys want to be, like, be well-known like you did, like, a couple of years ago, you guys need to go on the East Coast and play some big schools, because you can't you can't be doing stuff like that. And I thought, like, and remember when everybody was like, how come Oregon get the number 1 spot? I still haven't seen this team played yet. You know what I mean? I don't think nobody in the East Coast ever saw the Oregon Ducks play.
Yeah, the Oregon, I will defend them because Dana Altman is the greatest coach in Creighton basketball history. He knows what he's doing. Like, they've been to the Elite Eight in the last couple of years, Sweet 16 appearances. Like, they've done stuff in the tournament. Have they won a national title? No, but I mean, it's Oregon basketball. That's not a blue blood type of school. He's maxing them out for what they can do with that school, and it's kind of the same thing though in football. Like, the Pac-12 doesn't really go out and, like, it was a good conference this year, but they struggled in bowl games because they don't really go play an SEC type of school in football. They won't go, they don't travel east. I don't know what the deal is as far as Pac-12 not wanting to go east, or teams in the east wanting to go play in the west. I don't know what the deal is as far as that goes, but it does affect the conference's, I guess, ability in postseason play when they're not used to that type of competition.
And when you think about the Pac-12, you think of them like football. So, I think next year, USC will play Alabama in, the beginning of the college basketball season, so that should be good enough. And you know how ratings is going to be. So, it's unless you're a USC or an Oregon for football, that's when – and then I said, last year or two, I thought the Pac-12 was going to be the best conference. But it appears to me, just since the Big Ten got Jim Harbaugh, since Michigan got Jim Harbaugh, it's it's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC is going to be the top two conferences. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with the Pac-12. It's just these schools need to schedule each or something like that. So you need to schedule hey, USC, let's play Alabama, or USC's playing Florida or something like that. They need to get on the phone, and then they also got a Pac-12 there, so that's probably also a reason why Pac-12 doesn't get any recognition too. And plus, in number three, since we're East Coast guys like myself, we don't get to watch the Pac-12 games. So, for example, if it's a game's 11 o'clock, we're usually hanging out with our friends, or we're usually going to sleep. So that's probably has an effect on that.
I'm usually not remembering what's going on the rest of the evening when the Pac-12 comes on in sports. But, okay, other than Pac-12, do you think all these upsets, I guess FYI, Wisconsin just knocked off Xavier on a 3 at the buzzer. Wisconsin, a 7 seed going to the Sweet 16 over a 2. Do you think all these upsets are good for college basketball? Because I want to see the best of the best at the end. I don't want to see, an occasional George Mason or an occasional Wichita State is fine. But I want to see, the Michigan. I want to see the Blue Bloods at the end. I don't want to see all these upsets, and I want to see the best players, the best teams playing at the end, not some fluke. What's your stand?
What's the funny part about this? Here's the way I look like this. In college sports, you don't really care. You don't care which city. You know what I mean? Because most of these schools who won championships came from smaller cities, markets like that. For example. I remember Middle Tennessee beating Michigan State. You shouldn't have heard a lot of people from Michigan who were, especially Spartan fans, it was like, oh my goodness, man, since Michigan State lost, I'm not going to watch the tournament no more. Or Michigan lost to Notre Dame. Then there was another one, Yale beat Baylor. You shouldn't have heard from people who had Baylor, because I actually had Yale in my bracket on the first round. So I don't want to say it's an upset for, I don't say it won't be disappointed, but if Kansas were to lose, I think there'd probably be some upset. But again, it's not like the ratings are going to be low or nothing like that, because let's be honest, majority of the people who watch college sports are mostly college kids. So if it's a 10.0 or a 20.0, I ain't gonna say they're gonna have Super Bowl ratings or nothing like that, but majority of the people who watch those games, college basketball sports, is mostly college kids. So.
Sean?
Still here.
Okay. With the, the upsets, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I want to see, obviously this year Duke's a little down, but I'd like to, I just want to see, ideally I'd like to see Buddy Hield versus Kansas again. I want to see that again. I want to see, maybe Carolina. I want to see the best of the best. It just, I guess early on they don't really matter, but when you're taking out a Michigan State, it bothers me.
It does.
Other things.
Go ahead.
What are some surprise teams from some teams from major conferences that are surprising you right now?
Wow, that's a very good question. Now, I would like to say one team because I bashed them on the since the tournament. I have to say Villanova. Villanova really did impress me because we already knew they was going to play the first game. We already knew they was going to win the first game. But when you go in the second round and beat a Big Ten team, which is Iowa, and Iowa hasn't been playing that well, you gotta be like, oh my goodness, this team is doing, and they almost beat them by 20 points. So if they beat Miami, I have a feeling that it's possibly that team that could be like, oh my goodness, this is a team I haven't expected yet. And then for another team, I want to say another team. I also want to say Indiana. Let's give Indiana some credit because I thought Kentucky was going to win that game. And then if you look, like I said, remember I had you on my show on Tuesday. If you look at that Eastern bracket, you had North Carolina, Providence, Kentucky, Notre Dame, Michigan, Wisconsin, which they're going to advance, by the way. They just already won their game against Xavier by 3, just by the way, just letting you guys know that. And it's just like, wow, this could be really great. So we're going to have a wonderful so it's going to be exciting. So we're going to have Villanova in Miami. I'm surprised by Villanova, and I'm surprised by Indiana because I thought Tom Crean's job was on the line.
Who, right, with your adjusted bracket, who's going to spoil the dance? Continue to spoil the dance for people.
In terms of upset, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is going to be a tough one. Well, let's say like this. I think North Carolina could possibly be an upset. I'm just saying. So if I had to choose, like from number 1 and number 2, I probably would say Indiana could possibly be an upset in North Carolina. So if Indiana beats North Carolina, I think Tom Crean's job is safe because so far this regular season we've been bashing John. So far the athletic program wanted Tom Crean to be fired because they haven't had success since like 2002, so almost like 15 years. So if you had to tell me which number 1 team would probably be making an upset more likely, I probably would have to say Indiana over North Carolina.
Who's your pick to win the national title right now?
So far, that team is still in my bracket. I have Kansas.
Well, that's a good pick. I think that's a safe pick right now. However, I'm not 100% sold on that pick either because of Bill Self's history. He's won one national title, but I'm not entirely sold that he's still not going to choke in this tournament.
And would you agree that this is his best team that he ever coached?
I don't know, that the championship team with like Chalmers.
Mario Chalmers, yeah.
That was a pretty good team. Did he not have Wayne Simeon?
Let me check for you. How you spell his last name?
Simien. Wayne Simeon was a good power forward for him.
Wayne
I'd like
Simeon.
to say about 10 years ago.
Let me see. Wayne Simeon. Wayne Simeon. Let me check. He did not win with Kansas. He did win a championship with the Miami Heat.
Okay. Well, I feel like this is probably his most complete, like his best team talent wise. I think he's had more talented teams, but this is probably his best.
I agree.
Unit together that's bought in. Well, on that note, Sean, before I let you get out of here, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good stuff?
Most definitely. You can find me on Twitter. My Twitter name is Sports for Stewart. That is sports, 4 Stewart, Stewart. And you can find my show, The Sean Stewart Show. You can listen to The Sean Stewart Show every Tuesday and Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Sport for Fans Radio. That is sports, 4, fans. It ends with the letter Z, by the way. And we're looking for people who want to write our website. It's called Sport for Fans. That is sports for fans. Ends with a Z.com. Please do not put www. Just put sportforfans.com. So we're looking for writers who want to write for NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball, mixed martial arts, and so forth. We're getting some people that wants to do some radio shows and our website. So we're very glad.
Well, Sean, I appreciate you coming on. Love to have you back on at some point, and we'll talk again soon, buddy.
Thank you so much. You have a nice, wonderful evening.
Yep, you too. And we'll be right back here on the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Maybe I could offer up an answer.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on Late Night
You
Sports
gotta
Radio.
keep them separated.
I am joined here in Borderline Hour number 2 by Keith Grieve, producer of the Bob Sullivan Show, runner of Late Night Sports Radio, and man from 87 Sports Fans. Keith, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm trying not to look at my bracket because it's just a horror show.
Yeah, there's always time, like you give me the countdown perfectly as far as when we're coming back from break, and yet I always wind up saying something horrible and horribly inappropriate right as we're going and back onto the show. This is not the first time, so just beware. But Keith, we've been watching two similar shows. One, Daredevil, and the other 11/22/63. Daredevil, so far, let's not even talk about season 2. Season 1, what did you like about season 1?
I loved the progression of the what's the word I'm looking for?
Characters?
Not so much the story, but the progression of Matt Murdock's story about how all of a sudden this blind guy can kick ass. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
I like the way they flesh that out.
They try to do it in Arrow, but to no avail.
They're still doing it in Arrow, and I like it, and I like Arrow, but every show is like half flashback.
Yeah, it's half flashbacks and half. Okay, this is my problem with Arrow, and the thing with Arrow is there's too much sexual tension between Oliver Queen and his sister. Have you ever? I don't know if you have a sister, but I've never had any sexual tension with me and my sister.
Dear God, I never picked up on that.
You never thought that? Like there's a lot of sexual tension there. Like they're overly huggy, they're overly, kind of flirtatious for a brother and sister. I swear to God, there's going to be a sex scene between Oliver Queen and his sister at some point during that show.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But.
I never picked up on the sexual tension. I think the bullshit happening with Felicity walking out on him and just
Oh, hey, I haven't seen all the way to that.
Come on, it's been on break for the last 2 weeks. Where you been?
I'm in season 2 still.
Oh man,
I'm in season 2 because I keep getting angry.
Why didn't you start with that? Like letting me know you were only on season 2.
Well, I didn't know how much you would watch that show.
Oh, I'm an Arrow and Flash fanatic.
A flashing fanatic.
No, the Flash, the show. My lawyer told me I need to make sure I'm clear about that.
Yeah, I've been around when there's been a man exposing himself, and it's not I didn't see it, but I was around people that did see it, and it wasn't a fun experience. Okay, beyond that, Felicity has a nice rack and body. Everything's well put together on her. She just needs to get better social skills, and then I could really get on board with her.
Right. No, I could see that. She's a little introverted.
Yeah, and she just talks too fast. They talk way too fast in the show. It's almost like Gilmore Girls.
Except, I feel like I like college Felicity more than adult Felicity.
Yeah, I think college Felicity, where she's willing to experiment, would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, back to Daredevil. Yeah, the development of characters is great. That Fisk, the fat guy from what is it? Law and Order: Criminal Intent.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
He is really, really good at that role of being kind of a stuttering guy and not really.
He was a great villain.
Great villain. Yeah, you were kind of you had chills when he would talk, and he was evil. And his warning shots to Daredevil, like on the walkie-talkie, those scenes were always great.
Yeah, no, it was he did a really fantastic job because he, the last thing you saw him in was Law and Order, and he was anything but upstanding in this role, and it was just cool to see him play that different side.
Ben Urich, the guy who was the newspaper reporter in season 1, very good actor, did a very good job in that. It's too bad he is no longer living and no longer in the show. I think season 2, from what I've seen, could benefit from his character so far.
Yeah. Yep. I've only seen one episode of season 2, so I can't really talk.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and ruin the Punisher stuff for you.
Are you kidding me right now?
No. Okay, well, you already know he exists in season 2.
I do know, but I'm trying to figure out who it is, and I purposely not read a whole lot about it. I know obviously Elektra's in this season, and the Punisher as well.
Yeah. All right, so 11/22/63. On to this. Okay, so we got James Franco goes back into the past. There's a time portal in a closet in a diner in Lisbon, Maine. For the people, big spoiler alert, people, that he walks into, and this somehow sends him back to sometime in 1960.
I'd like to find that diner and repick my bracket.
Yeah. To erase it and start over. I don't, that's obviously there's a lot of liberties you have to take with this show. But once you just kind of ignore the fact of how he got back in time, what he's doing back in time is really interesting. And it's really interesting, the concept of, how whenever somebody's like, oh, if you could go back in time, what's one thing you could do? It's like, oh, I would kill Hitler. Like, you could just walk up in Nazi Germany and just shoot him. Like, that's possible. But you get sent back 3 years before, and he has to do all the research. Well, is Oswald the guy who pulled the trigger? What's the most fascinating part so far to you in a story that, one, nobody's 100% sure that Oswald pulled the trigger. He pulled a trigger. Whether he shot, whether he was the only gunman is to be determined. But I feel like this book/show really is putting itself out there as far as lawsuits go, as far as who they accuse. Now, I haven't read the book, so have you read the book?
No, I have not.
Okay, so I feel like if they end up accusing somebody else of pulling the trigger, or not just Lee Harvey Oswald, I feel like, obviously it's a work of fiction, but
well, you got to make the journey back to 1963 an adventure, because if your mission is to just stop Lee Harvey Oswald, it's pretty easy. Yeah,
you just go and blow up his apartment or something.
But now you have to go back and you have to make sure that he's acting alone, and you have to figure that out, and it just makes for a better story.
The racial tension with Miss Mimi. I feel like they're underselling how racist Texas was back in those days.
And you know what? It's like the scene where he stands up for her at the gas station.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for the part where the Klan just drags him out of his bed at night, and does something like that.
Yeah, the Klan's not too tolerant. Not that they are now, but there's less rules as far as the Klan went back in those days.
Yeah.
Is there a character in the show right now that you don't like?
I could have done without his little partner here, but I guess people that have read the book have told me that a lot of it is just kind of James Franco's character's, thoughts, like what he's thinking to himself. So his partner doesn't even exist in the book, but they had to like have an outlet so that the viewers knew what the hell was going on. If that makes sense to explain it that way.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a little more sense. And I mean, it does make for a little bit more of an adventure of, well, take for instance in the last episode where he thought he saw his sister and screwed up the watching if Oswald took the shot at Walker.
Right.
So he screws that up. And I mean, I guess that's one way where the show is covering itself as far as lawsuits go or whatnot, by having something like that, so they don't know. You know?
Right.
All right. James Franco. Is this the best role he's played?
Oh, I don't know. See, I'm not a Franco hater. You know, I think...
I'm not a fan. I'm not a hater, but I'm not a fan either.
Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta... Like, Pineapple Express, I thought he was pretty good in for that movie. You know what I mean? It's like... It's couched in, you know, for that movie. Like, I didn't go into Pineapple Express expecting to see best picture quality shit. You know what I mean? It was I knew what I was getting into.
He was good in that.
This is the end.
He was good in This Is the End as well.
Yeah, This Is the End, which I still think the highlight of that movie is Channing Tatum. But
I was going to say the highlight was Michael Cera.
yeah, no, Channing Tatum making fun of himself the way he did, I thought that was hilarious.
True. That whole movie. See, that movie was those guys were like, okay, well, we just saw Grown Ups, and that was all those comedians getting together, like, hey, let's make a comedy. Oh, what's the plot? Who cares? Right. And these guys were like, hey, let's make a comedy together. And like, let's pretty much just freeball it on what we do. We'll just talk shit to each other, put together a completely ridiculous plot and script, and throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. And it worked.
To answer your question, though, I think this is his best acting performance that I've seen.
You think this is?
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't seen 127 hours, but I would assume him winning an Academy Award for that made it pretty good. But
he didn't bother me in Spider-Man either.
In the third one, he was atrocious, but that movie was atrocious.
Right, that movie was an abortion.
Yeah, that movie. That scene where him and Kirsten Dunst. See, okay, the Spider-Man series I don't understand. Like, people defend Spider-Man 1 and 2 and are like, oh, it's not that bad. Those movies are terrible. And the thing is, William Dafoe, Hayden Christian, you look at Tobey Maguire, James Franco, Kirsten Dunst, J.K. Simmons. I mean, there's good actors in the Spider-Man series, but they do a horrible job. Like, it's like they wrote it so that these actors would be bad. They wrote bad scripts for these actors, and these actors are not. These are good actors, and they just put together the three shittiest movies you could possibly put together, other than Daredevil or what's that? There's several other Fantastic Four 2.
Oh my God!
Recent Fantastic Four. I mean, Spider-Man. Those movies are not good, and I mean they kind of fell into the same trap with the new Spider-Man movies. With I liked Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone and Dennis Leary. The first movie was good, and then the second one they got into the same trap of god awful dialogue, where I would rather watch like a POV of my sister than
Jesus Christ.
Watch those movies because of the dialogue. It's that bad.
The Spider-Man 1 and 2 were two movies where I didn't mind them when I first saw them, and then like I was watching them. I put them in the DVD player a couple of months ago for the kids, and I was just like, oh my God.
Well, the CGI is so bad.
Yeah, no, it's god awful, and it didn't bother me when I first saw it, but now it's like I can't even watch it. Just burn this shit.
It bothered me at the time, and it bothers me now, but it bothers me more now. Like I more watch those three Spider-Man movies like they're a Nicolas Cage movie. where I'm just there to have kind of a good laugh. But then I wind up just getting angry because I hear people say, "Oh, this is a pretty good superhero movie." I mean, the CGI in those movies, that was 2001, 2003, 2005 or whatever for those movies. It's not like we're talking about 91 or 93 or anything like that. We're talking about the 2000s.
Anything past Jurassic Park, you have no excuse for.
Yes. And by the way, Jurassic Park, I feel like that movie, the original, I don't know if I've had this conversation on my show with you about how HD has ruined Jurassic Park. Have you noticed that? Like, if you watch it on TV now,
No.
like you can tell that, like the dinosaurs. You're like,
Wait, those dinosaurs weren't
But like
real?
when you originally saw it in standard definition, you're like, holy shit, that looks like a real, like, that's what I imagine a dinosaur would look like.
Right. Yeah, I know that when you saw Jurassic Park at the theater in '94, you're just like, holy shit balls.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was 4 at the time, and I remember crying because, I mean, that T-Rex was scary as hell. Now it looks like something that could be in a Land Before Time movie, but at the time, I mean, it looked legit. Same with Twister. Like, Twister is ruined by HD as well. And some movies just need to stay in standard definition to keep the reality of what they did. Because now HD just ruins everything, where it's like you could piece apart a movie scene by scene about what's CGI and what's not.
I have it on Blu-ray, but it's one of those things where I was in Target and they had like the collector's tin edition on sale at a decent price, so I just picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't watched it yet, so now I'll have to get back to you with continue this discussion later.
About Jurassic Park, or
about HD killing Jurassic Park.
It's worth a watch, because like the scene when they're sitting in the scene that really gets me is the scene where they're sitting in the tree and watching the long necks, or whatever they are, plateosauruses, walking across the field. That was the scene where it's like, all right, this is completely fake. These are like 2D animals. This is horrible. But at the time, when you watch, like when it used to be on once a year on like NBC, I was like, holy crap, Jurassic Park's on. This is gonna be awesome. And yeah, you got to watch it. It's slowed down, and you'll just hate it. You'll be mad. You'll be yelling at the TV.
Great, can't wait.
Like where you're like, I remember when this was real.
You ruined my childhood, Bob Sullivan.
You're ruining my dinosaurs from reality. Twister is also ruined, but yeah, 2001, it was like still pre HD age, and there was no excuse for Spider-Man to have that bad CGI.
Agreed.
And they've tried to make up for it by having a bunch of scenes where Spidey lands on a flagpole with the American flag on it. That's completely mailed in CGI-wise. That's way beyond the point.
Have you seen the new Civil War trailer?
Yes, I have. What are the Spider-Man coming out of nowhere? Pretty cool. Didn't really get enough of Spider-Man to sink my teeth into.
Yeah, it's just enough to make everybody wet themselves.
Yeah. Are you excited at all for Superman versus Batman?
I'll see it, but I am severely skeptical. Severely. Like, to the point where I wonder if it's worth spending the money on tickets, because my brain might be so set to hate this.
But they're doing the same thing with, everybody's like, well, why would they fight each other? Well, why would Iron Man and what's his name fight each other? Captain America.
Well, no, but the storyline, the rumored storyline anyway, makes sense to me. I don't have a problem with them fighting. I have a problem with Ben Affleck.
But he's an old man. He's getting out of the game.
Yeah, but like I said, I'll go see it. I said the same thing about Heath Ledger as the Joker before I went and saw The Dark Knight, and it was just completely
Ben
blown away.
Affleck he's similar to Steve Nash.
Oh,
Late
geez.
in the game as far as getting his career together. Your thoughts on that comparison?
Late in the game with getting his career together. What are you talking about?
Well, Steve Nash didn't start winning MVPs till he was like 31 or 32.
No, I got it. I'm going to look that up. That can't be true.
31?
Hold on. 1 second, please, while I do my producer duties here.
It's like 9 years ago. 05?
What years did he win MVP?
He's like 40 now. I would say 05.
He was an all-star in 2001, 2002 in Dallas. It wasn't until he went back to Phoenix, right? You know what? You're right. I take that back. You're absolutely right. I forgot about the years that he squandered in Dallas.
Yeah. So I accept your apology.
Yeah, I fully apologize.
But like Affleck is the same way, where he kind of floundered around with some okay, Nash was not, his first run in Phoenix, he was okay, and then in Dallas he was kind of, they were running a joke type of offense with Nelly running the organization, and then he gets back to Phoenix. Like Ben Affleck, being in the running for best director, best actor. The Town, I mean, those you didn't expect that from Affleck after Gigli and Daredevil, did you?
No,
you didn't think he had that in him. And after the first run, and even in his All-Star years in Dallas, you never thought he was going to be an MVP, whether he deserved those MVPs or not.
Look, I liked Ben Affleck in Good Will Hunting. I'm looking at the filmography right now. Armageddon, not so much. I forgot he was in Shakespeare in Love. Dear God. Forces of Nature, bad. Dogma, good. Boiler Room, bad. Reindeer Games, bad. Bounce, bad. Pearl Harbor, entertaining Michael Bay movie, but historically just god awful.
Yeah, that was terrible and so disrespect. That movie, Pearl Harbor, was as disrespectful as Nicolas Cage playing a cop in World Trade Center.
Yeah, probably. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That was pretty good if you're into that whole scene. Changing Lanes, bad. Some of All Fears. Daredevil, we won't bring up. Gigli. Jersey Girl, please. Surviving Christmas, oh my God. Hollywoodland, not that good of a movie.
That one, I think that was. We'll listen to the rest of the filmography, but I think that was the beginning of the turning point, because that movie was not great. It never had a boiling point, but
he was pretty good in that.
He was good in it. Adrian Brody. It was a solid movie. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible though.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the beginning of the turnaround. What's coming after?
Smoking Aces, bad movie. Okay. He's just not that into you. Please don't even make me say that out loud again.
That's a good movie. I like that.
Come on.
That's a good ensemble cast movie.
But then, like, in 2010 is when he kicked it up a notch with The Town. That was a good movie. I like The Town.
That was a great, not only a great Boston movie, but that was just a great movie in general.
Argo, good movie.
Yes.
To the Wonder, I never saw. I don't even know that. Gone Girl in 2014. I like that movie. And then Gone Girl was his last movie until Batman vs. Superman.
See, he's turning around. He's got a couple MVPs.
And he's going to be in Suicide Squad as Batman.
I think that looks actually, I'm more intrigued by that than this Batman suit.
Yeah, I want to see the Suicide Squad. And then
mainly because I want to see Margot Robbie rip off her clothes.
Yes, please. Yes, please. And then Justice League, Part 1 and 2, or will be 2017 and 2019 respectively. So we'll see how long he rides this Batman train for.
Yeah, he's like 48 or 49.
Yeah.
But late in the game as far as getting his career.
Oh, no, he's 44. He's going to be 44 this year.
Oh. All right. Well, still, late in the game as far as getting his ish together, acting wise.
That's a very.
Like, you would have thought he would have continued to have mailed in performances, and at one point he was just like, okay, I need to get I can't just survive on Matt Damon.
Nope, you came up with a very good analogy.
Thank you. Well, Keith, on that note,
now that I paid you a compliment, it's not going to get the night's just not going to get any better.
yeah, I gotta check out on a compliment. I think that's as good as we can get here. On that note, before we get out of here, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets?
Check out my writing at 87sportsfans.com. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, is the debut episode of my new show. It's Keith Grief Show. Just an hour straight of just headlines and scores, and hopefully have some guests coming on. And I'm toying with a possible segment of just cold calling some sports bar in a major sports city and just trying to talk to people.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm toying with that idea. See what happens.
Well, I'll let you know what bar I'm in.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, check out it's Keith Grief Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com and Spreaker app, and I'll see you Wednesday on the box seats with Alex B. Smith and myself, and then Thursday with John Morris. And a show next Sunday, which I don't know who's going to be a guest, and I have. See you next Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Good night.